The first one is the employee retention credit claims. This more than likely does not apply to anyone in this room. So if somebody calls and says that you may be eligible for employee retention credit, say, I do not qualify. If you own a business, you might, but you probably don't. These companies will call and they'll say, you may qualify for an employee retention tax credit. Let's have a sit down and get your information, and then they'll steal your social security number, they'll steal your name and your birth date, and do fraudulent things with them. The next one is phishing and smishing. Smishing is text, an unsolicited text saying, we're from the IRS. The IRS will not text you. They more than likely will not email you. They have just started emailing this year, but they do not email taxpayers directly. And then phishing is an email that you may get, similar to what Katie was saying, make sure you're looking out for the email addresses. Also, if it looks fishy, like if it says Walmart, but the first A is an @ sign, that's not Walmart. If it's the IRS, but the I is capitalized and the R and the S are not capitalized, it's not the IRS. Don't click on anything in the email. As the slide indicates, the IRS initiates most contact through regular mail.
Your slides are advancing.
Oh, they're not. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, all right. The last sentence there, mail is the most popular form of communication from the IRS. They may call. If someone calls and claims they're from the IRS, ask for their ID number. It usually starts with the number 1000, 10006753, something like that. And you can write that down. They'll repeat it for you. They'll spell their name for you. If someone calls you from the IRS and refuses to identify themselves, they're not from the IRS. Is it? No, it's not. All right, there we go. So there are other third-party scammers that will try to help you, or say they'll try to help you, where they'll call and say, oh, you need to log into your irs.gov account. You don't have to log into your irs.gov account if you have one. And then there's also two-factor authentication with the irs.gov account. So make sure that you're not giving out your personal information. That's really the biggest thing here. All right, the fuel tax credit. This is mostly for over-the-road truckers, drivers, off-highway businesses, farming use. So the majority of the people in this room, you're not going to qualify for the fuel tax credit. Don't allow people, don't give out your information about to people who are saying you may qualify for this. They may be using it fraudulently. Fake charities. This is always a big thing whenever a crisis or natural disaster hits, especially COVID. People are calling and asking for your donation to the IRS. If you give a certain amount, you can claim it on your taxes. You can write it off. If the only donations that count against your taxes or against your income go to qualified tax-exempt organizations. So if you're giving money to an individual over the phone, they may not be able to provide you with the numbers that you need to take that tax credit. Now, this is one of my professional largest pet peeves: the unscrupulous tax return preparers. That word, yes, it did. People who say they're going to charge you a fee based on the amount of your refund are not scrupulous tax preparers. People who are unwilling to sign the tax return. Every tax return, if you look at the bottom where you sign, it says prepared by. If you prepare your tax returns, it'll say self-prepared. If a tax return preparer prepares it on your behalf, there'll be a place for their name, their PTIN, which is the preparer tax identification number. They'll sign it, and there'll be an EIN there as well, and an address. Because all of those documents are signed under penalties of perjury. The tax return preparer signs it. If you take it to somebody and they say, I'm not going to sign this for you, then it probably is not a scrupulous tax preparer. Didn't go that time. There we go. Also watch out for social media. Tax preparation tips on Facebook are probably not a good place to start. If you're on Facebook and you see somebody that says that they claim the employee retention credit, that they may be eligible for that, but the IRS is now starting to open up audits on almost all employee retention credit cases. So look out for people who are not tax preparers. Don't take advice from them. And that last sentence, I think, just sums up, we can all go home after that one. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. If Walmart says that you are their next winner, and it seems too good to be true, it probably is not true. The IRS calls you, if social media, Facebook says this is what you should do to save thousands of dollars on your tax returns, it's probably not true. And this one is specifically for tax professionals. This is one of the dirty dozen that the IRS wants to watch out for, because tax preparers hold confidential information. Our levels of security are much higher than connecting to the general Wi-Fi at the library. So we want to watch out for phishing. Again, we can't stress that enough. Phishing and smishing are always big numbers to watch out for. And also spear phishing, an email that looks like it's customized directly to you. Watch out for that. And then the goal here for the scammer is to try to steal your information so they can open up credit cards, so they can file tax returns on your behalf. You do not want to be involved in an identity verification case with the IRS. Right now, those are taking 6 to 9 months to clear up. So we want to make sure we're keeping our personal data personal. The offer and compromise mills, these are generally companies that you hear on the radio. I save pennies on the dollar on my taxes owed. There are a lot of companies that can do that work for you. Some of those companies are just a little less scrupulous than others. The offer and compromise program is where you approach the IRS and you say, I know that we owe you $10,000. How about $100 and we call it a day? And the IRS will accept generally 3% of those applications that come in. So anyone who calls you and says, I can save you thousands of dollars, I can save you pennies on the dollars for your income tax, you want to make sure that they're being honest with you about your chances. Again, 3% of the offer, and right now those cases are taking a year to 18 months to complete. So we want to make sure that we're being open and honest about how long this is going to take. We want to make sure that you know what your chances are. And then the IRS puts out a pre-qualifier tool. So you can go online and do this yourself and see, do I even qualify for an offer and compromise? And at that point, if you do qualify for an offer and compromise, at that point I would suggest calling a scrupulous tax attorney, because the attorney does need to fill out those forms. There are also schemes aimed at high-income filers. Charitable remainder annuity trust is where you donate your assets to a charity and then you draw the annual income for a specific period or for the rest of your lifetime. The monetized installment sales is where you defer the recognition of gain upon the sale of a property. So you sell a property and then you spread out that income over the course of a couple of years. Generally, those are so specific that the IRS looks at them very closely. And then bogus tax avoidance strategies, such as micro-captive insurance arrangements and syndicated conservation agreements. The micro-captive insurance agreements are where the owners of the insurance company elect to be taxed on the captive's investment income only. Again, if anybody tells you that you qualify for this, they're probably looking just to get your information, steal your identity. Your identity is very valuable to these people. I think syndicated conservation easements is a restriction on the use of real property that can diminish the property and then take away from your income. Again, don't give out any information. We also have some schemes with international elements. such as offshore accounts and digital assets. I'm sure everybody's heard of the bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. There's also cryptocurrency falls under those digital assets. We have the Maltese individual retirement arrangements, misusing that treaty, the Puerto Rican and foreign captive insurance. Somebody calls you and says that you should invest in a company in Puerto Rico, I would suggest not doing that. And if any of these do come up, we have a contact information here for the IRS, mail, fax. If you call the IRS, you're going to be on hold for 4 to 6 hours. So mail and fax is the best way to contact them. We also have we have some individual contacts with the IRS. Here in the Chicagoland area, we have the Taxpayer Advocate, which is similar to the public defender of the IRS. They're a division of the IRS. Their paychecks are signed by the IRS, but they actively work against the IRS and for the taxpayer. So that's a personal contact we have that we can call her. Her name is BC. We have revenue officers, we have auditors, we have any number of people that if you come across something like this, just make sure that you call the right person, and even the 1-800 number can direct you to where you need to go.